Welcome to this week's Mindset video. This week I want to talk to you a little bit about a term called Scholé. You can only dig so deep into the world of home education without hearing about this buzzword. It's become increasingly popular in the past few years, but it's a concept that's been around forever. The word Scholé, if you want to Google it, it's spelled S-C-H-O-L-E, and it's actually where we derive our word school from. But it's a Greek word that means leisure or restful learning. So we've come a long way in turning this word that meant restful learning or leisurely learning, joyful learning, into maybe the more traditional way of thinking about school, as far as like rigor and work and something that is not necessarily a pleasant thing. But the Greeks had this other idea about it. And so it's had this resurgence of popularity of learning about what Scholé means, what it means to embody this spirit of restful learning, and how to bring it into your home, and how to provide an environment that embodies Scholé for your children to learn in. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about was a few things you can do to create this atmosphere in your home. Scholé means allowing time, allowing space, and encouraging things like contemplation of ideas, meaningful conversation, reflection on a particular topic, or your own thoughts or ideas about the topic. Time for rumination of these ideas. And it also means an appreciation for learning's sake. So an appreciation of literature and art, music, or even some of the other subjects like science. You can have an appreciation for the beauty and the wonder that is science, and you can really apply this to any subject. So it involves slowing down and taking time to delight in the learning process and engage with it for its own sake, not for checking something off a to-do list or attaining a particular objective or satisfying a school assignment, but engaging with the process because it is a delightful process. That's what Scholé is. So a few ways that you can bring it into your home, especially with very young children who are just starting out in their educational journey, are to really focus on quality over quantity. If you accomplish one deep, meaningful, memorable learning activity, that is worth 10 or 20 superficial moments of just going through an activity, going through the motions, completing a worksheet. Not that worksheets cannot also be meaningful learning activities, but they do have a tendency to be that more superficial, do this, get it done for the sake of accomplishing this and then move on type of activity. Whereas what you want to focus the majority of your time and effort on are things that go a little bit deeper, like especially deep and meaningful conversations with your child over a particular topic. And they don't have to take a long time, especially with little kids. They don't have a huge attention span. So this doesn't mean that they need to be 20-minute conversations. But where you really are engaging with them on a topic, you are answering their questions or discovering those answers if you don't already know what it is, if you're just giving them a sounding board to think their own thoughts and validating that, giving them an opportunity to express their thoughts and their feelings on a topic, and teaching them that that's a worthy use of their time. These are all Scholé ideas that are a great way to promote your child engaging with the learning process in a very pleasurable way. Another wonderful way to bring Scholé into your home is through reading. So choosing favorite stories of yours when you were a kid and resharing those with your child. Choosing some really great high quality literature that uses really good wide range of vocabulary, complex sentence structure, or just delightful and inventive word choices, to broaden that vocabulary for your child, whether they're classic books from a long time ago or whether they're brand new ones. There is a ton of really high quality literature being written these days for children of all ages. So seeking that out and taking the time to sit leisurely with your child and to enjoy these stories and to talk about them, where the point is not to just sit down and accomplish the 20 minutes of reading that you wanted to do with your child today, or to get through the book from cover to cover, but it's where you're going to sit down and you're really going to enjoy this story and talk about it meaningfully and take time to laugh over it, or take time to, ask questions about it or ponder, well, what if this had happened instead, and things like that. Take time to make connections between the story and other things that your child is learning, or connections between this story and a different story that you've read, or between this story and something that's happened in your child's real life. Those are the moments that are those Scholé moments that really prompt your child to go much deeper than just a superficial reading of a story. Another Scholé activity is when your child is particularly interested in a topic or engrossed in something, to throw aside whatever it is that you have planned as far as like a learning activity for that day, and to allow them to be absorbed in what that is that they're really interested in, because that's where you're going to get the most learning and the most excitement for learning, the most passion for learning, is when you capitalize on those moments that your child is interested in a topic. So a great way to bring Scholé into your home is to look for those times and to not worry too much about getting off schedule or shuffling some things around, and take that additional time to really dive into what your child is interested in at the moment, whether it's sharks or space or the ballet or whatever it is, and really let your child exhaust their interest in that topic. As I said, a lot of Scholé is just appreciation for things just by themselves. So taking the time to notice beautiful art and poetry, music. So one thing you can do just as you're going about your daily activities is turn on different types of music, everything from classical to bossa nova to jazz, and each day you could try a different type of music and just have it on in the background while you're doing your chores. See what your child seems to respond to or is interested in, and then maybe talk to them a little bit about it. Look up a few things about that style of music or that particular artist. And you can do the same thing with art. You can bring them over to the computer and just show them, say, hey, look at this that I found, and pull up some Impressionist paintings or some portraits or some Picassos or whatever style, and share those with your child. Talk to them about it. See if it inspires them to want to get out paint or crayons and make some art. So just an appreciation for that. Even better if you have the time to go to an art gallery nearby, or appreciate many different types of art. If there's street art or beautiful murals in your town, and just taking a moment to stop and notice those and point those out to your child and to appreciate those things. That's Scholé. And it really gets your child thinking, noticing, processing, remembering. It really activates their brain so much more than just a school activity of like, we're going to sit down and we're going to complete this about this objective that your child is really not necessarily invested in. We're invested in that because it's on our to-do list and it's an objective that we know they need to learn. And but your child doesn't necessarily have any reason to be invested in that objective. And so if we follow their lead, we usually get a lot more out of the experience. Valuing conversation. Conversation is such an amazing vehicle for learning. It's so underrated as a way to get your child learning, accessing information, and really thinking and getting those cognitive skills going. So talk to your child a lot and give them the opportunity to talk to you and to express their ideas, really hear them. Tell them, that's a really interesting question. Tell me more about that. Or ask them for their opinion. What do you think about this? and really engage them in conversation on everything from the storybooks that they read to the television shows that they're watching to whatever game they're playing. It'll pay off. It's a really, really the best vehicle for learning that you can have with your child. The Greeks, after all, who came up with Scholé, made a whole thing out of learning through conversation, the Socratic method of, asking questions in order to really get to the bottom of your thoughts on something. So it's probably the number one best thing, maybe up there with reading. I'm not sure which one is better, but between reading and conversation, that's like so much of the game right there. So I hope that you've been inspired to learn a little more about Scholé, to bring some of those elements into your home and a little bit of that thought process into your interactions with your child. Again, I encourage you to look it up and learn more about it if you're interested. There are different groups, like Facebook groups and things for practicing Scholé principles. There's lots of books and articles about it. So there's a lot of information out there if you want to learn more and get more ideas. But I hope that this has inspired you to look at learning from the Greek perspective of leisure and restful learning and joyful learning, and to bring some of that into your home. We'll see you next week.